Let's learn what Forrest Fenns' secret really was, as I have gone alone in there. Superman and his Fortress of Solitude is the doppelganger, my 2 cents, of Forrest Fenns' Palisade he went into alone. A palisade surrounds a fortress. There is Palisade Sill. And with my treasures bold, oh tell me, wise sir, where are the treasures? And the wise man replied, wherever you find them. Action 1 Comics Superman sells for $3.18 million. Captain America, $2 million. Forrest Fenns' treasures were his comic books that he saved when he was a kid, working with Joe, experiences with Joe. Treasures bold are the comic books in the treasure chest. Where are the treasures? And the wise man replied, wherever you find them. Wise man on the mountain, cartoons and comics. Wise man, the Watcher character from Marvel Universe. I can keep my secret where? Forrest Fenns secreted his cachet. Forrest's secret is where and how he hid the treasure chest. 2 people can keep a secret if one of them is dead. The real true 2 people keeping Forrest Fenns' secret are Kent and Esther. Forrest Fenn talked about J.D. Salinger because J.D. Salinger was a canasta fiend. The most common mistake that I see searchers make is that they underestimate the importance of the first clue. If you don't have that one nailed down comics, a nail down, face down, you might as well stay home and play canasta. As dead as canasta. As dead as canasta. Same thing, folks. That's your ha-ha-ha moment in Forrest Fenns' ending of the Forrest Fenns cross that he put there. The very first stanza is the first clue, and it takes you directly to there, the cross at Palisade Sill. So, I can keep my secret where? This whole paragraph gives you everything. Forrest is explaining his secret place. The theirs are his secret place, Palisade Sill. Palisade Sill is always busy with the flourish of people fishing. Palisade Sill was Forrest's place alone when he was younger. Bread is to associate with Superman's Fortress of Solitude. Intrusion is to let you know the importance of intrusive igneous rock. Intrusion was the most important word in the book for the connections to intrusive igneous rock, Palisade Sill. Forrest's secret place was Palisade Sill. Finally, at the end of the thrill of the chase, Forrest told us of his secret plan. And it was Dancing with the Stars. The 2 main characters, asterisks, we were looking for Lois and Clark. Clark Kent and Aunt Esther are the 2 people keeping Forrest Fenns' secret. Then, to top it off, Forrest gave us the Palisade in the epilogue of The Thrill of the Chase for the connections to Palisade Sill. The epilogue is supposed to give you the basis of what the whole story was about. A palisade, by definition, is a row or a wall of tree trunks. Palisade Sill, below Eagle's Nest, the true home of the Browns. The epilogue shows Palisade Sill down below Eagle's Nest. And Eagle's Nest is literally called the home of the Browns. Simply put, Forrest Fenn is hinting where the treasure location was by pinpointing Palisade Sill at Cimarron Canyon, divided precisely at Palisade Sill, with new rock going into older, separated at intrusive igneous rock at Palisade Sill. This is a true hint of riches new and old of Forrest Fenn. An X is there in spirit. X marks the spot at Palisade Sill. Clue number 2 is the second stanza, first 3 lines. Begin it. It is the map portion of the poem. Where warm waters halt is Agua Fria Peak. Take it, the map, in Cimarron Canyon down. Not far, but too far to walk is Too Far to Walk is book number 2 and both Vietnam dedications in the book and along the map. The third clue is the last line in the second stanza. More than 8.25 miles north of Santa Fe. The put in below the home of Brown is Eagle's Nest down the canyon 8.3 miles to Palisade Sill. That's the from there, the pinpointed secret place. So alone in there and from there are the same secret location that we needed to figure out. Clue number 1 pinpoints Palisade Sill, the alone in there. The map portion in the poem, clues 2 through 5, validates this by factual physical locations to give all of us the true search area. If you were wise and found Forrest Fenns blaze at Cimarron Canyon, as I did, from the blaze, clue number 6, if followed precisely, will take you to an exact spot at the Kent and Ester Cross. This is Forrest Fenns' true blaze and true nook. Not to be confused with the no blaze, oil tree, whatever, or the something nook you've been told for some made up bullshit from Jack and Shiloh. Forrest Fenns' true sitting rock and the amazing view. Not to be confused with the family rock at Lime Mile Hole with no shock and awe view. I'm going to show you just a couple of clues that pinpoint why Kent is so important at Palisade Sill. Fort Clark for Clark Kent. You have supervision at Fort Sill, which is Palisade. Palisade surrounds the fort. Palisade Sill, Fort Sill. Looking for Lewis and Clark, Clark Kent. Lewis and Clark and the wonderful Corpse of Discovery. And Clark was getting a lot of publicity lately and winning awards at important shows, so his work quickly escalated in value. Here are most of the secrets out of the books to tell you what Forrest Fenns' secret really was. There was geocaching in Cimarron Canyon for Secret My Cache. I can keep my secret where? I've told you where he kept his secret at Palisade Sill at the Kent and Ester Cross. I'm going to tell you what the secret is. And the two people can keep a secret. If one of them is dead, is Kent and Esther. They are the two people keeping Forrest Fenns' secret. I will tell you of my secret plan, Dancing with the Stars. Folks, this right here, he's telling you the two main movie stars and comic book characters are Clark Kent, and Esther, Aunt Esther. Those are the two characters, the two people, Clark Kent, Aunt Esther, that we were supposed to find throughout all of the hidden clues in Forrest Fenns' books. And those are the two people that were keeping his secret that are dead. But this right here, folks, superheroes every day, Superman 1.61, Thrill of the Chase, is Forrest Fenns' actual secret. Forrest Fenn hid this cache of superhero comic book connections throughout the books. He infused superheroes in just about every story he did in these books. Forrest Fenn kept his secret where? In plain sight, folks. It was actually the thrill of the chase is Superman .161. Every day, superheroes. Superheroes every day. It's all of the superheroes that were in his stories, obvious and hidden. The Clark Kent and Esther sign in plain sight, where everybody can see it. The thrill of the chase, superheroes. All of it. My secret plan, Dancing with the Stars. That's all of it, folks. It all pulls together at the Kent and Ester Cross that Forrest Fenn created for the Dancing with the Stars and the Thrill of the Chase superheroes. What is an aberration person? Something or someone regarded as atypical and therefore unable to be ignored or discounted. Forrest Fenn's aberrations that live out on the edge are Kent and Esther. Clark Kent and Aunt Esther on that cross. This is Forrest Fenn's true secret, where he hid his treasure. And those are his treasures. Dancing with the Stars and the superheroes. It all boils down to one focal point. Kent and Esther Cross, pinpointed for the treasure ending. At the cross with Kent and Esther at Palisade Sill, Cimarron Canyon, New Mexico. Hi folks, Dave Woodard again. Man from back east. That was beautiful, right? That is what Forrest Fenn created. The actual Dancing with the Stars and the superheroes, Superman 1.61, for the connection between the two on the cross. The two people that were keeping his secret. His secret is the canasta, that cross. All of it that he created. Creating that in My War for Me, when he realized he melded the thoughts together into one. That was it, folks. Meld is in with J.D. Solinger, where As Dead as Canasta. All of this, Forrest Fenn, it was like a joke he came up with that you couldn't really tell anybody a joke like that because it's just, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. But to incorporate it into a treasure hunt that you have to solve the joke that he came up with, the ha moment, that's what this is. And it's incredible. I know that I solved it. I have my Savant video coming out next, hopefully tomorrow or the next day. I have a couple appointments this week. But I need to give you right now what I know on a timeline is the little girl from India that can solve the first or second clue on Google, but then she has to go boots on the ground, which is right. The first two, this is where everybody gets confused. They think the 9 clues are just lines pulled out. They are not. They're not pulled out that way. The very first clue, the first stanza, he pinpoints it. I showed you that. The very first clue that Forrest Fenn said, the first clue is begin it where warm waters halt, is the map. Begin it is the map. There is Palisade Sill. We already determined that. For vocabulary geniuses will know that there, he's telling you his secret spot. If you figure out where there is and place it in the right place geographically, it all works out. And that's what Palisade Sill does. So, the actual girl, little girl from India, timeline. Are you ready, folks? This is it. This is brilliant by Forrest Fenn, because the little girl in India is a superhero that came in after the fact, after his books. So he had to incorporate it into the superhero part of the poem and the solve by saying there's a little girl in India that could solve it. The first 2 clues. That little girl in India, here she is. Kamala Khan, the little girl from India, a Pakistani Muslim born in America. But Forrest Fenn is not going to say that. He's going to give you clues for superheroes, and you need to figure them out. This is the newest one that he had to add in because Miss Marvel, the little girl, was not around when he wrote the first book. So this is how he incorporated another superhero into his stories. Kamala Khan. That's it, folks. Those are the two things that I never really answered. What Forrest Fenns' true secret is, which is Superman 1.61 and Dancing with the Stars. Those are his two characters. His two people keeping his secret at Palisade Sill, New Mexico. And Miss Marvel, she was created in 2013 and debuted in 2014. She is not in the olive jar, folks. All of the other superheroes that I've pointed out, the hundreds and hundreds in his books, are in the olive jar in the 20,000 word biography. Now, if you have not watched my other Forrest End videos, it does a lot of explaining on how different things work out. But the actual poem itself, the very first clue, as I've gone alone in there, and the whole stanza, that pinpoints Palisade Sill for your search area. The there. Okay, folks, the second clue, begin it where warm waters halt and take it in the canyon down. Not far, but too far to walk. Period. That is your second period. The whole first stanza is just all of it until the end where the period is. That's the first clue. This is the end of the second clue. So, beginning where warm waters halt, it is the map. You start at Agua Fria Peak. And that's where your warm waters halt, where cold waters peak. That's simple. The take it in the canyon down is towards Cimarron Canyon. Not far, but too far to walk. That is that stretch of highway where the Vietnam War Memorial is on Route 64. And if you look in the third book, there is a 64 somewhere in that book. I tell you that right now. No, it's not page 64. That hint is in there. So, that War Memorial, to associate with the War Memorial and Too Far to Walk, is the Vietnam War Memorial, the Vietnam War Memorial, and Not Too Far to Walk, and the book. That's what that is. That book is part of your map in the whole poem. So, that's the end of the second clue. The third clue is put in below the home of Brown. So, that right there, Eagle's Nest, was literally called the home of the Browns. So that's the home of Brown. Guaranteed. And then 8.3 miles to Palisade Sill. The actual more than 8.25. That 8.3 miles to Palisade Sill. That is your identification line. Now, from there is his secret place, as he started at the beginning of the poem. That's what a lot of people are missing. They're missing that connection between both of theirs. He's telling you, from Palisade Sill, it's no place for the meek. That no place for the meek is the mountain man face down further, like 800 feet down. The old man face on the mountain, he has mountain man in all three stories to connect for that geological location. Mountain Man Wisdom, Mountain Man the Story, and Mountain Man Rendezvous. He has them in all three books to identify for that location in the map. So, from there, it's no place for the meek. The Mountain Man face. The end is ever drawing nigh. So, the end is Palisade Sill, which is right on your left. The end is ever drawing nigh. The end of the poem, the end of the map portion in the poem is what is ending. So, you continue on from Palisade Sill. From there, it's no place for the meek, Mountain Man face. The end is ever drawing nigh, Palisade Sill on your left. There'll be no paddle up your creek. You do not go down to Maverick Creek, where a lot of people went. There'll be no paddle up your creek. There's just heavy loads and water high. That is gravel pit lakes, the heavy loads, and the water high is one of those lakes is higher than the other two. That's what Forrest Fenns is talking about in that map portion of the poem. There'll be no paddle up your creek. It's a continuation of there. So from Palisade Sill, there'll be no paddle up your creek from Palisade Sill. Don't go down there. It's just heavy loads and water high. And you know that's the end of the next clue and you know you're at the end of your search area because now you know your search area is Palisade Sill. Palisade Sill, you search. The next line in the poem, I believe it's number 6, is, I'm going off my memory here because I know that thing inside out, It's if you've been wise and found the blaze. Now you should have been boots on the ground somewhere. Your area is Palisade Sill. That's how I figured out Palisade Sill was the exact pinpoint location for your search area. So that is the actual map, folks. Simplified. But there's a map portion. And it starts at Agua Fria Peak, beginning with Wilmotter's Holt, and it ends at, don't go down to Maverick Creek. There's only heavy loads and water high. That's the end of your map. The next clue, if you've been wise and found the blaze, you have to look around Palisade Sill area. When you find the actual blaze Forrest Fenns is talking about, which was the hidden fire pit up behind the extra parking lot, up on the ridge, that's what I found. That's what I sent Forrest Fenns in 2017, and Forrest Fenns said, I have a gut feeling that the treasure is going to be found by the end of next year. That's why Forrest Fenns said that in 2017, in December, because I sent him the picture of the blaze, actually the nook, that he could see was at Palisade Sill. This is evidence, folks. He could see the actual picture of the nook at Palisade Sill and knew where it was on a date and timestamp and location. I looked at the picture after. It shows the location. So Forrest Fenns knew somebody was up on his ridge, and he said, all they have to do is figure out the next few clues after if you've been wise and found the blaze. This is what's cool about it. So it took me 2 years to figure that out. And I apologize for the Forrest Fenns community because it took me that long to figure out what the actual look quickly down was, because there was 3 of them. There's look quickly down back in the trench, which is the chase that comes up and leads up to the fire pit. That is the thrill of the chase, when you finally realize you found that hidden trench that leads up to his secret area. That's what the thrill of the chase is, folks. In like terms that I learned as I was learning the whole thing. That chase, he has so many meanings for this, but it all pulls together for that one location. The thrill of the chase is finding it and going up and finding his blaze. And then he said, if you've been wise and found the blaze, look quickly down. I thought it was in the trench. No. I thought it was look down the canyon. No, because the front hill is so steep, you can't traverse it. So I'm thinking, well, there's no way to go down there. You can't walk down there, but it's look quickly down. So it sounds simplified now but as I was going through it, it took a while. So look quickly down, your quest to cease. Cease is the quote. You're going to end up doing a big wide search, and you're going to end up back where you started and know the place for the first time. You're going to know that where you started at that parking lot is the first clue. So look quickly down, your quest to cease. You end up back down where you started, across from the parking lot. But is the transfer from up top down to below in the parking lot? Tarry scant. You walk across the parking lot a little bit with marvel gaze. You see the cross. It says marvel for Clark Kent and gaze for Aunt Esther. That connection right there, that's where you see the cross. You tarry scant. You walk across the parking lot a little bit. Tarry scant with marble gaze, just take the chest and go in peace. That chest was right there at that cross, folks. That's what this whole solve was. Anybody that's wondering what the ending was, that cross was everything. And if you didn't solve the map inside the poem, as I did, you wouldn't have found that cross that says Kent and Esther. That's why nobody understands what Kent and Esther is in this whole treasure hunt, except the guy who solved it. And I'm trying to explain. Nobody's going to understand Kent and Esther until now. That was in the olive jar. That was all of the clues about superheroes and movie stars and all the quotes and all the comic books that he matched these clues up with. Folks, I'll finish the map in a second of the poem. But Forrest Fenns did not spend 15 years creating this, and didn't have something that people could associate with, something that people could understand and then say, wow, that makes sense. That's a real cool connection. He wouldn't spend 15 years of his life. The man was brilliant. If you read his books, you know better. The man was brilliant, and he created this thing with a gigantic web. Remember the Marvel? This was a beautiful one, folks. It slipped by my comic book guys. And Forrest Fenns said in the quote, if you're over the age of 12 and none of you don't see yourselves in this mirror, if you're over the age of 12 and you don't see a little bit of yourself in this mirror, then you deserve another chance. He's talking about the mirror dimension. And I heard, I talked to my comic book guy. He's like, oh my God. He's like, you're right. He said, actually, Doctor Strange just put a video out, the multiverse. The mirror dimension was in it. This is all about comic books, folks. Everything that I've showed you, and there's so much more that I found that they are incredible hints that match up with the book. And that's how I know I got into Forrest Fenns' head. And I say that is it. When it's all seen together, you're going to go, this guy is cool. He's a genius. He figured out by going into Forrest Fenns' head and figuring all of these clues out. And believe me, folks, there are many. But you're going to have to watch a lot of videos or I'm going to have to get interviews to show exactly what Forrest Fenns' mind built in this $2 million treasure hunt. So anyways, just take the chest and go in peace. So why is it that I must go? Forrest Fenns telling you he's going out there, right? So why is it that I must go and leave my trove for all to seek? The trove has so much to do with comic books, but leave my trove of clues and hints and everything else about superheroes for all to seek. The answers I already know. I've done it tired and now I'm weak. And those are comic book guys too. But anyways, I've done it tired. He's old. He can't make it back up to that cross where he was when he knew. He's like, I'm not going to make it back up there with 42 pounds of gold and the treasure chest. So he said, so why is it that I must go and leave my trove for all to seek? The answers I already know. I've done it tired and now I'm weak. He's too weak to get back up there. So what he did was he created a secondary where the map leads to. He came up with this secondary idea of putting the treasure chest right next to the parking lot where an 80-year-old would stay. 80-year-old man or woman that went out searching would stay. Or the guy in the wheelchair would be able to reach it. If you're sitting there in the parking lot, as I did when I realized the Kent and Esther were Canesta, and that's the way we say it up here in Boston, Canesta. Hey, look, give me the car. It's us. So, Forrest Fenn, Canesta, Esther, that's what his brilliant idea was that he came up with. And he came up with that cross, and that's how he can go incorporate it. He put it right in front of everybody's face and go, you were 12 feet from the treasure. You were 12 feet from the treasure. Picking on everybody, knowing, and people would be like, I don't know, I went to Palisade Sill. I went here, I went there. I stopped at to see Palisade, right? It's all there. Like I went to Cimarron Canyon and Maverick Creek to search. Now, Forrest Fenn knows that somebody's going to visit Palisade Sill, that highlight of Cimarron Canyon, when they're driving through. They're going to stop there. So he assumes you parked next to the parking lot and you're 12 feet away from the treasure. It's beautiful the way he built it, this whole thing. So anyways, so hear me all and listen good. Your effort will be worth the cold, period. If you are brave and in the wood, I give you title to the gold. Okay, so that is the story I described about surviving myself when he goes down to the cemetery. And it's actually north he goes. And the cemetery is 1 block away, just like the parking lot. That story definitely is how I found that cross down below. After I realized what that cross was, it all pulled together, folks, all of the clues. And I had to go into the mind and see how he put them in there, knowing the Kent and Ester Cross and how the actual poem lines up and works out. This poem right here is everything. So as I said, so hear me all and listen good. Your effort will be worth the cold. He talks about the going down there at night when it's not too cold. So it's all there. And then it took guts to go in there at night when there was no moon, which is brave. And you're going into a palisade, which is a wooden structure. If you're brave and in the wood, palisade being a wooden structure, I knew right off when it was pinpointed. I'm like, that's the wood. Palisade is the wood. That was one of my first clues I ever solved, and it all went superhero from there. Folks, this is the actual solve. I need to stop this video and edit it so I can get it out. But this is Forrest Fenns' solve. Undoubtedly, this is his map. This is how it all works. The treasure chest was at that cross at Kent and Esther. And that's what his actual secret was. The 161, all of the movie stars, the Dancing with the Stars, it all pulls together for Aunt Esther and Clark Kent. And Forrest Fenns said, after his story about melding the names together, you look on the next page, and he talks about the medals he got from Vietnam. And he got the Silver Star. The Silver Star is Clark Kent. Clark Kent was the Silver Age of comics and a star. So, and then he goes to the 3 flying crosses. I don't know who those are. They may be some kind of superheroes or comics that I don't know about how it signifies. But anyways, then he goes to a bronze star. That bronze star is Aunt Esther. Aunt Esther used to be the bronze goddess of fire. And she used to set her body ablaze, eat fire off a stick, and light cigarettes with her fingers because the flame. She was the bronze goddess of fire. And the significance with that is when Forrest Fenns found that treasure chest, when he was explaining about finding the actual treasure chest and the bronze and the 3D figures of the female figure outside on the chest, and he said, sometimes reason doesn't matter. This works out perfect for what I need. And because the guy told him it probably held a Bible at one point in somebody's life. Well, if you look at Aunt Esther, she was a Bible-thumping Christian in the show Sanford and Son. It all works out, folks. All of these clues are so amazing to bring you to that cross that nobody understands. And I swear to God, folks, God works in mysterious ways. Things go high for me, things go low for me, things go high for me and low. But right now, I believe that people will understand what Forrest Fenns' treasure hunt really was, seeing all of this pulled together. And it took a lot to get a lot of this information all into a couple of videos, the Forrest End series. But this is the actual true solve of Forrest Fenns. And I got ripped off from it because when I found that cross, and that's what people say, how could you solve it and not have the treasure chest? Well, this is the answer, folks. The actual treasure chest, I believe now, was buried 4 feet down. I had a shoulder injury. I was law enforcement, and I would have got arrested and lost my job of a 19-and-a-half-year career, just about. I was going to 20 years. So I would have lost my job, surgery. I couldn't dig. My girlfriend wanted nothing to do with anything digging in the state park, which I understood. So it was illegal to dig. I shouldn't have dug. But I did dig a little bit. And about a foot down, I found a bottle that Forrest Fenns says it matches one of the bottles in the stories about one of his favorite treasures. That's the bottle that I found. And I thought it led to more clues. I thought, okay, this is going to insinuate something in the book, that the treasure wasn't there. I only dug down a foot, as much as I could with my shoulder in the middle of the night with the car parked on the side of the road for rangers to see it. I couldn't do it. So I knew that when I left, I knew where the spot was. My friends out there didn't believe me, but that's okay. I asked them to take the cross later, and they said they would. So the cross was gone. Nobody would know where that spot was unless they found that fake fire pit, the fake blaze. So the only way that someone would solve the poem is to figure out these clues that I figured out geographically and literally in the poem to find the cross or the fire pit in 50 years when the cross is gone. That's how I know that when they said Wyoming, they were lying about the final resting place. That final resting place was at Palisade Sill, New Mexico, in Cimarron Canyon, folks. That's absolute fact. And I got ripped off this treasure chest. And he told people that he shouldn't have trusted. And that's why we're in this situation. And who's he going to tell, folks? That's why I've done these videos. I want the truth out there of what really happened. And everybody that was a searcher, you can decide to join in and say, hey, you know what? This is the actual real solve. He needs to answer for what he did. Or Jack Stoof needs to answer for the death of Michael Sexton. Because Michael Sexton passed away in the wilderness in between the timeline from when the actual treasure was taken in October of 2019 to June 2020. There was a death in between there in March of 2020. And it should not have happened. And I've said that in my video. So now, all of those things, those are explanations so you understand better of why I don't have the treasure chest. I trusted the information to stay between Forrest Fenn and myself like he said it would, and he did not. He did not hold up that part of the agreement. So them knowing that all I knew was Kent and Esther because I didn't have the olive jar with all the clues, that's the reason that they were able to commit this fraud. They're like, he's never going to figure out all of this stuff. All he has is Kent and Esther, and he looks like a fool, just like all the other people out there. That's what they were thinking about, all of you. They were thinking that we're all fools. Well, until the final straw, when the actual true solver comes forward and confront them with the actual true solve, now is when the vloggers of Forrest Fenns community should go and get together and say, we were screwed, and this is how we were screwed. Otherwise, I just consider you guys, you got paid off by Chase Inc., and you're afraid to talk or afraid to admit, yeah, I got paid. I'm not out to screw the vloggers that unknowingly did what they did. I don't have a problem with that. But I believe K-Pro and Calazars actually know that it's actual fraud. And they were trying to do their damnedest to cover it. But it's hard to understand because nobody wants to listen to anybody else. But the actual true solve, folks, is here. I appreciate you listening, and I thank you all for the help that hopefully I can get to get this out to the public, so people understand. There was a $2 million treasure hunt that was very important to me and very important to a lot of other people. And it broke our hearts the way that it ended because I did not dig it up and I got screwed over. Again, all of you got screwed over. If you don't believe this story, I'm not going to make you. This is Forrest End. I am done trying to convince everybody of this actual solve that's amazing by Forrest Fenn. And the ending that is so tragically fraudulent of how many documents have been put into court saying this and saying that about lies about Wyoming. I can tell you now, folks, if you look into the documents and everything else with a actually magnifying glass, you will see they're fraudulent. The emails, they're fraudulent between Jack and Forrest. Forrest would have never done that with any of us. Folks, if you don't see the truth beyond the lies, the amount of lies that they haven't even given us, they haven't even given us a clue. They haven't even given us a location. It's all a guess because they're waiting to see if everybody's going to understand what the real solve is for the guy coming out with the real solve. It's a huge, and I'm asking you to take a leap of faith. With all of the clues I found, if you are familiar with comic books, please jump in anytime because you're the ones that are going to see it. You're the ones that are going to find these clues about superheroes and comic books. The Green Giant that he put up, and it's not Hulk, it's the Green Giant superhero. There's a separate one about the Jolly Green Giant helicopter. There's so many. I've got this. It's awesome to look through some of the videos about the 5-second ones, and folks, all I do is say, have faith. This is the actual true solve, and I'm done after these videos. I need to move on with life, and I think there are people out there that see some of the connections, but all of it together, that's the Forrest End videos. All of it, how it all ties together. So I thank you all for watching, putting up with my mannerisms. I know I had a brain injury back in 2015, but you know, sometimes you don't come back fully. Sometimes you change. And that's why I believe that some of the savant symptoms that I have, I was able to see this and keep pulling in all the clues. And I watched Sherlock Holmes and I'm like, oh my God, that feels like me with the clues, seeing them and pulling them out of the books. It's an amazing thing in his books. And if your wild imagination lets you look in those books to say, I can find a clue, then do it. Please, you'll find different superheroes. He spent 15 years. So I just want to say this, folks. I don't know. I was told there's no way I can take them to court because I don't have any proof. Well, I believe this is proof of Forrest Fenns' actual true solve of what he did. And I would gladly go up in court any day against them to prove it and have them show their solve. If you want their solve to come out and see what they had for an actual solve and location that Jack didn't even figure out. He didn't figure out a poem. He said it. He admitted, I'd never solved the 9 clues. I stumbled on Forrest Fenns' treasure. He stumbled on the fraud that coming in as a patsy. That's all he stumbled on. Folks, this is so obvious of what they've given you for answers that I'm begging you to look into what they have given you as an actual ending for Forrest Fenns' treasure hunt. It's been kept low-key as it can for the news. They put it out on little podcasters for information that you'd think it would be. It used to be on Good Day Show. It used to be on Good Morning America. He was popular. But now you have to keep it all quiet because there's something we have to keep quiet. And we don't want people to understand what really happened. Hey, let's just put out Jack solved it and nobody will question it. Folks, common sense. There's a point in these videos. So it's not just coincidence anymore. There's a point way past coincidence where the whole thing is like, yeah, this is fact. This is actual. These are actual clues. That's what this is. And it's amazing. And I'm hoping you get to enjoy some of them if you can put up with me. So, folks, I was told I couldn't take it to court. I believe that I can. I believe it's the 9 clues. And that's actual fact and physical locations. So let's try to go up against their solve. And I need the help from the Fenn community. Now is the time where you either say, I'm done protecting Shiloh. I'm good. I might lose the views on my channel, but if the people think I'm cool, maybe they'll still watch me. Folks, this is where the vloggers need to step up. The ones that have a voice. And you still have a voice for Forrest Fenn. If you haven't seen the actual true solve, the 161 in here, and all of the things lining up, please, you don't have to respond. You don't have to say anything. But if you understand, you were ripped off by Shiloh, just as I was, him taking this treasure chest. Because I couldn't dig it up because of my injury and law enforcement. All of you had a chance at that treasure chest still. Even Michael Sexton would have had a chance at that treasure chest if it wasn't taken in October of 2019. And the metadata from the first picture will show that, folks. That's what we need for evidence to get from them. These things are in court. And hopefully they're still like marked down as evidence and held, because they will fraudulently cover it just like they did with the emails and everything else. Telling you, folks, I'm going to stop it. I appreciate everybody watching. Thank you. I know I get my rants, and it's part of the brain thing with me. I sometimes I lose my filter, but I am the man from back east that Forrest Fenns started to acknowledge before Shiloh had to shut him down. And then, folks, you saw how brokenhearted Forrest Fenns was, and the people close to him know that. So it's all ugly. The whole thing is ugly. Who he told and what happened after that. And then I got ripped off. So I know it because I knew that picture was the actual treasure chest. And you could see the same ground location. And the pictures I have as evidence, folks, just so you know, of Palisade Sill, after the date of the announcement, I had put all of the ground cover, and I took a picture of it. I put all of the ground cover back on, the natural ground cover. So there should be no disturbance there in that area. I had my friends take a picture after the announcement, and then I got the pictures in, and you can see dig marks in, there's circles of dirt pulled up in certain areas where all the rest of the mulch is untouched. There's evidence. I have evidence of them digging in Palisade Sill. Evidence. Actual physical evidence that somebody tampered with Palisade Sill at Kent and Ester Cross. I swear to God, folks, I have that evidence. And this can all go one of two ways. But I believe that people are honest. Most people are honest. They want righteousness to come through and shine and say, you know what? This guy deserves the treasure. He actually solved it, thought he found something that was another clue, and then moved on. But yes, I was an asshole for having to take the cross. So none of you would have got the canasta, but you could have solved the map and still found it. So yes, you still could have found it. But this treasure hunt was fraudulently staged at the end. And it's a shame. It's a freaking shame that I had to go through all of this to try to expose it. Because if you look back in my videos, folks, I offered them tree speedies so many times. I said, hey, let's just contact me and let's square this away. I know what you guys did. And they just wouldn't listen. But now it got to the point where either Dave Wood is going to go to the asylum and people really aren't going to see the connections. Come on. That my comic book guys are like, whoa. I believe in people seeing, even if you're not a comic book fan, like I wasn't. That's why I didn't know I was coming up with superheroes, because I'm a superhero fan for the movies. But the comic books, it slipped my grasp until all of it started to line up and show, hey, this was a comic book, that was a comic book. Everything is a comic book that he put in here. Everything. Watch my Forrest End videos, folks. I am Dave Woodard, the man from back east. I thank you all for watching, and I hope you give me a thumbs up and pass this video along. And please forgive my upsettedness sometimes and my silly mannerisms. It's part of who I am now, and my friends have accepted it. So thank you. I will see you all soon, and I'll put out that Savant video very soon. Thank you, folks. Have a good day.
The end has arrived. No more wondering why the Forrest Fenns hunt was so mysterious at the end. The secret is exposed. Everyday superheroes 1.61, the thrill of the chase. Clark Kent and Aunt Esther are part of that secret, and the thrill of the chase is the Secret Identity comics with Superman. The thrill of the chase. The person who finds the treasure will have studied the poem over and over and thought and analyzed and moved with confidence. Nothing about it will be accidental. T.S. Eliot. We shall not cease from our exploration, and at the end of all of our exploring, we will arrive where we started and know the place the first time. If you haven't noticed the pattern yet of Forrest Fenns climbing through windows throughout all of the stories, it's because the window is Palisade Sill for clues in the book. She didn't answer, she just kept nodding and looking out the window. I think she was waiting for the postman or something. That's for Devil's Mailbox at Palisade Sill. The windowsill, Palisade Sill, Devil's Mailbox. In plain sight, folks, a memoir. A memoir is a window into a life. That is your window clue throughout the book for Palisade Sill. These window hints are spread throughout the books, and if you realize that this window is the doppelganger to Palisade Sill, Then you start solving the clues. And the biggest one I found was this one out of Gypsy Magic. I used to raise the window that was at the side of my bed and put my pillow on the sill. I slept that way whenever. Another beautiful hint is in the dude. We brought our good friend Donnie Joe into the deal, mostly because his grandmother was the postmaster in town and knew everyone. I can't imagine why that mattered. That is the key to Devil's Mailbox. Devil's Mailbox is at Palisade Sill, and you see it from the south side of the highway, the same spot that the treasure was buried. And here's another one of Forrest Fenns' movie stars, climbing through a window. We were famous. I'm going to read off a few important quotes Forrest used throughout his books. But he assured me that the poem, while absolutely reliable, if the 9 clues were followed in order, was extremely difficult to interpret, so tricky that he wouldn't be surprised if it took 900 years before someone solved it. This quote came out in 2017 in Forrest's 3rd book, Once Upon a While. 900 years. For a comic book, number 900 would be 900 years for Superman. Oh my God, this would make a marvelous movie. Whoever was clever enough to figure out the poem and find his grave was welcome to rob it and then take the treasure for themselves. Forrest is telling us there's a grave, which would have a cross on top of it, not just laid on top of the ground. And the final clue, he said, would be where they found his car, in the parking lot of the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. The cross was next to the parking lot, folks, the extra parking at Palisade Sill. He did not feel he could entrust anyone else to assist him. 2 people can keep a secret, he said, only if one of them is dead. The thrill of the chase. In it, I spoke of a chest full of gold and precious gems that I hid in the mountains. A dare went out to everyone who possessed a sense of wanderlust. Study the clues in the book and thread a track through the wilds of nature and circumstance to the treasure. If you can find it, you can have it. I warned that the path would not be direct for those who had no certainty of the location beforehand, but sure for the one who did. I warned that the path would not be direct. Folks, once you find the blaze, you turn around and you go back down where you started. That's what he means by there. And sure for the one who did know that. Is there any wisdom in trying to cause momentary excitement in some future millennium? I'm not sure I can even define history in those terms. And what if no one ever discovers my art? Will my time have been wasted? I guess the rewards have been in doing it, in the enjoyment that comes with dreaming about what might happen someday. No matter. It was more fun to run the risk of being foolish than to watch Dancing with the Stars. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Will someone ever discover Forrest Fenns' art? And also the risk is also short for asterisk and Dancing with the Stars. Imagination, folks. I'll tell you of my secret plan on many occasions at night while my wife was watching Dancing with the Stars. I was making wax bells and writing words on them in elevated letters. The later bronze castings of the bells are exactly like the wax originals. Folks, what he's talking about is the city of Candor. Before Krypton exploded, the futuristic city was captured by the supervillain Brainiac, miniaturized by his shrinking ray and placed inside a glass bell jar. Forrest Fenn miniaturized his 20,000-word autobiography and put it in the olive jar and buried it 4 feet, just like he did with his bronze bells. So I decided to fill a treasure chest with gold and jewels, then secret it. Folks, all of Forrest Fenn's answers to his secrets were in that olive jar. I declined their invitation to put an X on the map, but will admit that it is there in spirit. There, at Palisade Sill, folks. That's what there is. It is there in spirit. Thank you all for watching. Please share and subscribe. I am the man from back east, the true solver of Forrest Fenns' treasure hunt. Dave Woodard.